As you guys see at the beginning of this video, I showed a quick little ad from a retailer pertaining to the prices of video games during the Super Nintendo, and we all know the N64 era. Pricing was really, really high, and that's something I wanted to kind of talk about today pertaining to the Switch 2 announcement. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw that announcement yesterday. I was able to watch it as well, and today I checked out the treehouse that they had showing off some of the games. And one of the things that was interesting to me is that watching YouTube yesterday, you got different perspectives on the system, pricing, how the system works, acts, looks. And I kind of wanted to take a moment to kind of think about what my feelings and my opinion was about the system, about the announcement. I didn't want to just jump on YouTube and just start, going on a rant about my opinion, and then maybe later on going and saying, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I could have maybe thought about what I was going to say a little bit better. I saw a couple guys on YouTube that were just, they were like, this is going to be a rant. I'm going to rant about the pricing. I'm going to rant about the way it looks. And I didn't want to do that. So I was thinking about it and just wanted to give my quick opinion about where things stand. I think that sometimes Nintendo can't win or lose. They come up with things that are crazy, like the Wii with their motion controls, and they win like crazy. It sold 100 million, consoles or whatever ridiculous amount. I mean, I had my grandparents playing the system, and then they come out with games that are or systems that are like the GameCube. Initially it wasn't that great of a success. The N64 initially wasn't that great of a success. We all know the Wii U. Initially it wasn't, well, not initially, it just wasn't successful. And so when Nintendo sometimes strays from the norm, I think sometimes, we all complain and it'll bite them in the butt and we'll go, why are they getting so crazy? Just kind of stick to fundamentals, stick to things that work. But yet, when they kind of stick to things that work, like the Switch and the Switch 2, people are like, well, why isn't it not different? Why are they not innovating like they used to? Kind of like Apple. People complain, that the iPhone is, progressively just getting better, but they're sticking to something that works. And it's like people complain, why have you guys not innovated? I agree. They need to do some innovation, but that's a different argument for a different day. But so pertaining to the Switch, I mean, I like the form factor. I like that they stuck to something that worked. I think they made it a bit more comfortable by making it bigger. The screen is a little bit of an improvement. Now, it's not an OLED. I wish it would have been. But I think just the simple size difference is something that I think would work for somebody like myself. That's one of the reasons why I have a launch day Switch, and I find it harder and harder to play just because my hands cramp. I don't know if I have big hands, but I have bigger hands, and it's sometimes really hard to hold that original Joy-Con for long durations of time and to play it. So I like the fact that they went bigger. I like the fact that the screen is a better screen. The speed and the performance bump, I think, is where it should be, because they're trying to stick with something that works and something that has been successful. I don't see it as a bad thing. I remember as a kid, I used to tell my brother, it's like back in the Nintendo 64 or GameCube days, it was like, can you imagine if they can come up with a Game Boy that looked as good as a Nintendo 64 or a GameCube that we could take on the road? I mean, that would be our dream. And with the Switch, we ended up getting that. And so with the Switch 2, I think we're getting better. We're getting more of the same, but better, and it works. I'm happy with the system. I'm happy with the aesthetics. I'm happy as long as there's no Joy-Con drift. I think that they did good, kind of sticking with the same, the same design. There's nothing wrong with that, with some improvements. The mouse thing, I don't know how that's going to be something that's going to be practical. I mean, it'll be practical if you like to play on tables or on counters or on desks. I never really did that. I never really stood my system up on the table with a dock and played that close. It was always either in my hand or on the TV. So I don't know if that's really much of a game changer. I mean, it's a cool feature for games like Civilization or maybe SimCity or something like that, more like a point and click. I think it would be well served. But so I don't know much about that. But I think the main complaint that a lot of people are complaining about is the pricing structure. And like I mentioned, back in the later in the Super Nintendo lifespan, and of course in the Nintendo 64 lifespan, some of those games were $80, $90. I remember that there was certain games that we would ask for. I want to say Shadows of the Empire was like $70, if not more. And it was all because obviously the chips, the memory chips and such in the cartridges. But I mean, some of those games I think were pushing $80. If I don't remember incorrectly, I want to say Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey was like $80 when we bought it, and my dad almost had a heart attack. So there is a precedent for games that are priced that high, but I think that everybody's kind of freaking out at the new pricing structure, thinking that why would Nintendo do this? You know, the rumors have been going on that maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, you know, three figures, you know, $100 or more. And you know what? If anybody can do it, it's them. The game's going to sell like hotcakes no matter what, whether it's a, you know, $70 game or whether it's a $120 game, I think. They have billions invested and the development cycle has just been, you know, tremendous. But I mean, that's probably what they're going to charge. So do I blame Nintendo for charging $80, $90 for games? Yes and no. I think the quality that comes out of Nintendo, Mario Kart, the Donkey Kong game, Bonanza, any Mario or Zelda game to come in the future, the quality is probably worth $80. I mean, you take a family of four to the movies and you spend $50, $60 just to see a movie once. But does that set a bad precedent moving forward? For AAA titles, I don't think it does. I think it hurts the smaller developers. I don't know about you guys, but I know that there's a lot of times that I'll just be out Target or Best Buy or browsing Amazon, and you see a game, you know, a couple come to mind. It Takes Two, the BioShock collection on the Switch, Split Fiction. That's recent, but I bought that secondhand, and I know that's a whole different thing. But it's almost like, hey, I've heard good things about this. Let me pick this game up. I'm walking through Target, and oh, you know, this game is on sale. Beyond Good and Evil is on sale. Let me pick it up. I've heard good things about it. I wasn't gonna buy this day one, but I'll pick it up. Um, and sometimes more affordable pricing makes it more digestible to just pick up a game that you heard good things about. You don't know much about it, but hey, you know what? Let me pick it up and buy it and see if it's worth it. When those games are priced at 70, $80, I think a lot of people are going to be hesitant to do that. And so that's, I think, where it's going to maybe potentially hurt people, or unless those companies are just going to say, you know what, you're going to have your $80 games, and then I'm also going to have my game out there for $40. And that's where you're going to see that difference. But if the pricing is going to be $60, $70, $80, $90 a game, and you're walking through and you go, hey, you know what, especially nowadays, hey, that game, I've heard good things about it. It's a small indie developer, but you know what? It's $80. Yeah, I'll pick it up. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. And so that's where I think it hurts. I think the quality games, the Grand Theft Autos, where you know what you're going to get, is going to be, it's going to be there. You know, I mean, think about it. Fortnite, I was talking to my nephew the other day, and I just asked him, I said, hey, how many skins do you have on Fortnite? And he said, I think close to 400. Close to 400 skins. That game was thousands of dollars. You know, it wasn't $80. It was free to download, but that's thousands of dollars. And when he said 400, almost 400, I think 380 or some ridiculous amount, I almost had a heart attack. I go, geez, that explains it. But also, could it be our fault? Could it be our fault, the consumers, the Nintendo fans, the gaming fans? Could it be our fault that, how many of these games that we've bought recently in the last couple of years have been remasters? We pick up a remaster of a game. Some of them are, broken down and rebuilt, and they're fantastic. Some of them are just kind of like a new, coat of paint. But some of these games that we've bought in the last couple of years, just remasters. And if we're willing to pay $60 for a remaster, $50 for a remaster, these game companies are going, well, if they're going to pay for the same game 3 times over on 3 different generations, and they're paying $50, $60 for it, and it's still selling like crazy. Mario Kart 8, for example, I mean, how many copies of that did we buy? And downloadable content and Switch Online. If we're paying that, well then, yeah, the consumer will pay $90 for a new version. So have we done it to ourselves? Do we continue to buy these Final Fantasy VII remasters and Resident Evil remasters and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and Soul Reaver and all these games? And so now the companies are going, well, if they're willing to pay full price for a remaster, a game they've played before, so why not charge them $80 to $90? Or the last theory that I came up with, and this could just be some crazy theory, it probably is, but what if Grand Theft Auto, what if Rockstar didn't want to be the guys that created that threshold of $100 for a game? What if they didn't want that to come on them? So they just go, our plan is to charge that. But you know what? Nintendo, you have this new system coming out. You want our game on there? We can port it to the Switch too. But you know what? Help us out. Set your threshold higher so that when we come in, people are not going to, give us a hard time because Nintendo already went up to 90. So, Rockstar comes in at 120. Well, it's Grand Theft Auto 6. It's worth it. And everybody forgets about them, doesn't give them a hard time. And then we go, okay, we'll port that stuff over to the Switch 2 for you guys. Thanks for helping us out. Wink, wink. Could that be, what happened? It's a far-fetched theory, but you never know. Let's see if any of those Rockstar games come out on the Switch 2. And if they do, I wonder, could that be it? Help us out. Don't make us look that bad. And we'll put some of our content on your system. And you guys kind of take the brunt of it. Because I thought it was really funny at the end of the presentation, they didn't talk about pricing at all. Usually they would have said, release date here, pre-order this date, and this is the price. But they just said, all right, we're done. Go to our website. So, is it Nintendo's fault? Is it a mistake that they're going to charge all this? I mean, only time will tell. I think the price for the system is fair. I mean, I think it could have been $400 without the game instead of $450. I think that would have been fair. That's just, these companies are trying to keep their margins, and if PlayStations are selling for this and Xboxes are selling for this, Nintendo's going to go, why are we going to leave money on the table? Let's price ourselves accordingly. So the system pricing for what you get, I don't think is that bad. The price of the games, of the cartridges, kind of does bother me a bit, but we're all going to pay it. Especially for the Marios, for the Zeldas, for the Mario Kart. I mean, when I buy it, I'm going to buy the Mario Kart. I'm not going to hesitate if it's $70, $80, $90, just because it looks so good and because it's Mario Kart. So anyway, that's my kind of rant on the current state of the announcement for the Switch 2. I mean, I think it may be a mistake, the pricing of the games. I think that may come back to kind of hurt the gaming industry. But I think the pricing of the system, I mean, it is what it is. The specs on the system, I think that's as good as we're going to get to be able to keep that price level where it needs to be. But the number one thing is always going to be the software. And Nintendo puts out good software. They put out good software, good stuff that people like. So as long as that continues coming, I think the system is fine. I don't know about the pricing. Like I said, that may come back and hurt the industry. Is it Nintendo's mistake? I don't think so. Is it our fault for buying all these remasters and paying full price for them? It could be, but we still do it. So anyway, guys, go ahead and leave your opinion in the comments. Let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Do I not know what I'm talking about? Or are there some points that you kind of agree with? Give me some ideas. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening to my rant, and we will catch you on the next one.